And there's,
already.
if you're being honest right now, there's a strict monopoly.
It is the big three are controlling
If
the
your
whole
name is
thing.
not India, Australia, or England, it's hard. And you're not backed by those cricket boards, it's hard for your club to survive.
Who wants to see Ireland or Scotland playing? Come
Yo,
on,
I
man.
have a soft spot for the Irish team, bro. They're good.
They're not good.
Welcome, everybody, to a vaguely familiar podcast. My name is Nazar, and with me today, as always, my co-host and partner in crime,
Bashaar.
And today we have a very interesting topic that we've been talking about, at least off camera, for a while. And this was one of those things that was frustrating both of us quite a bit. And we would have these conversations off camera until we realized that we have a podcast. And we were like, oh,
And
yeah.
we have a whole wing of the podcast dedicated to cricket, which is Backward Point, and this is going to be an episode of the Backward Point wing.
And then exactly. So
yeah.
we realized that, and then we were like, why don't we just come here and talk about it? So what's been on your mind, man? Well, there was something cricket related that was bugging you a lot, and you wanted to discuss it. So what was it? Let's start with where we're coming from first.
I've been thinking about this topic for the past few months, and I would have done this podcast way earlier if you hadn't become newlywed and then a corporate slave. So
a lot of life changes at the same time.
I'm gonna throw this one at you, but now that we're finally here, we can talk about ODI cricket is dying.
Yes,
and we need to do something to fix it, or we need to just discuss what's happening, because what's happening to ODI cricket is kind of like what's happening with climate change. You can see that the format of cricket is dying, and there's less and less matches happening every year. We're only looking forward to World Cups, and there's more emphasis being given to the shorter format of the game, T20 cricket, T20 internationals. There's more and more domestic league franchise cricket that's going on in the world. And that's having an inevitable impact on ODI cricket and its future.
I feel like this conversation was being had a few years ago about test match cricket. We were having the same exact conversation about test match cricket, where there was a red flag being waved all over the cricketing world. Test match cricket is dying. Somebody save it. T20 is here to take everybody out. I feel like this was a similar conversation had maybe 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when ODI cricket was introduced, and it was like, oh, well, test match cricket is dying. Are we just preemptively basically repeating history by saying, oh, ODI cricket is dying, but it actually isn't, and we're just being paranoid?
No, I think it's clearly dying. And when you're seeing players like Ben Stokes announce their retirement from this format, so they can focus more on the test format or T20s, so they can be a globetrotter and play many T20 leagues and, earn a lot of money in a 6-week period of time. The issue is that there hasn't been an alternative for test cricket, right? The red ball game is exactly how it is, as it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, yeah. But ODI cricket, now that it has competition. There's T20 cricket, there's T20 leagues, there's now T10 cricket. The format is being cut even shorter.
The 100.
The 100 is happening.
Yeah.
Like, what's next? Like 6 over tape ball matches?
Yeah, that's happening. I mean, tape ball cricket is thriving in local districts like Karachi and stuff like that. But I mean, obviously that's not the argument we're having. But what I'm just saying is, trying to play devil's advocate for a second. This is a similar conversation that was having for test match cricket a few years ago. I think about 10, 12 years ago, when T20 was booming. And the question was, is test match dead? And the Headingley test match that you and I just watched recently, rewatched, clearly proves that that's not the case.
The test match 2 weeks ago with Pakistan and Sri Lanka, where Pakistan chased 300 and something.
Beautiful.
Right?
It was a beauty chase. Like, point remaining, I don't think, I mean, this is a worthy conversation to have, and it is absolutely shocking, and many times it's like disappointing that teams like South Africa are choosing franchise cricket over ODI crickets. Like We should talk about the news that broke a few weeks.
Yeah,
Weeks
South
ago.
Africa is looking to launch their own domestic franchise league. In order to launch that league, they have canceled their ODI series with Australia
Yeah,
because it was clashing.
as
Right?
an ODI series with Australia, which is one of the big four.
One of the big three, and there's
Yeah.
you best believe there's a lot of money involved with playing with Australia with any of the big three teams.
Which only means that they're making more money on their own, like in their T20 league, versus making money off of the Australian international.
Bingo. I don't talk without stats backing me
Hit
up.
me up.
I have an alarming stat regarding ODI cricket. So between the 2015 World Cup final and the 2019 World Cup final, 4 years, right?
Yeah.
There were 546 ODIs played between that time period, right? That's an average of 137 ODIs per year. Now let's compare that time period from the time period of the last World Cup, 2019, to up till now. There's only been 248 ODIs played, and that's an average of 83 ODIs per year, which is a decrease of 40%, right? So we were averaging 137 ODIs per year between 2015 and 2019. Now we're averaging 83 ODIs per year between the 2019 World Cup final and now. So that's a 40% reduction.
Okay, but what has increased instead?
T20Is. So between the 2012 and the 2014 World Cup finals, there were 111 T20Is played, which is an average of 56 T20Is per year. Between 2014 and 2016 World Cup finals, there were 157 T20s played. That's an average of 79 T20Is per year. And between the 2016 World Cup final and the last World Cup final in 2021, there were 871 T20Is played. So that's an average of 150 T20Is per year.
Okay, speak to me in English now. Like, that's a lot of numbers thrown at me.
So when I was comparing the first 2012 to 2014 numbers, there were 56 T20Is played every year. 2014 to 2016, 79 T20Is per year. Between 2016 and 2021, approximately 150 T20Is per year.
So
that's 190% increase from 2012 to now.
Okay.
Right. So the numbers have tripled since 2012 of the number of T20Is played every single year.
That's insane.
That is insane. So,
but another person would look at that and be like, that's growth for cricket. Like, imagine the exposure that T20 gets internationally versus a test match. Like, the problem with cricket is, if I'm being honest right now, and I was talking to you about this the other day as well, it's very hard to get into that sport. And like, you and I can watch a basketball game, not know anything about basketball, and be like, okay, I understand. Ball goes in hoop, you get 2 points. Shoot it from a distance, you get 3 points. Got it. Done. Let's go. Football. Accessible as, like, it's one of the most accessible sports. 2 nets, ball goes into the hoop, you can't use your hands. Boom. Got it. Explain T20 to someone. There's a TikTok trend going on right now on, well, TikTok, I guess, about people just posting random cricket plays and just questioning what is happening. Because to the uninitiated, they don't understand what is happening. And it's actually going viral on TikTok, the sensation of like, cricket is wild, man. Like, what is actually happening in that sport? T20s is just making it a little bit more accessible for the common person to get into it. Like, if I were to ever introduce anyone to cricket, it would be in the next couple of months and be like, yo, the October Cricket World Cup is coming, the T21. Follow it around. 4-hour commitment. You're in, you're out. Done.
Here's a problem with cricket, and here's a problem with growing cricket globally, right? We call it the World Cup, but sadly, there's only 10 teams playing.
Because it's hard to be good at it.
It's hard to understand. It's hard to get into.
Yeah.
If you don't have a team that you're backing
and
already.
If you're being honest right now, there's a strict monopoly.
It is. The big three are controlling the whole thing.
If your name is not India, Australia, or England, it's hard. And you're not backed by those cricket boards, it's hard for your club to survive.
We've been trying to either get cricket to go into the Olympics, maybe have a shorter format, grow the sport. But sadly, the sport has been, and it looks like it's going to stay within the 10 or 12 countries that we're playing with right now. So
Afghanistan was a nice surprise.
Right,
but again, it was
but
India.
Afghanistan is
like BCCI backed.
All of their players had played domestic cricket in Pakistan, right? And it's also it's part of the subcontinent.
Okay, but
we're not seeing the USA or Canada. Even the players who do play here, they're not like Canadian, right? They're like
They're ethnic,
expats. They're
yeah.
expats, right?
They're ethnic.
The team for Oman, the team for
They're
UAE,
immigrants.
they're all Indians and Pakistanis who have moved to those countries, and now they're playing from there.
So there's no grassroots cricket there.
Exactly. So my whole point is cricket is not growing.
Okay, but at the same time, we were talking about the big three right just now. Why isn't Scotland and Ireland growing at the same rate that Afghanistan did?
There's just not enough money that
ECB doesn't have money.
ECB doesn't run Ireland cricket.
Okay, but ECB is definitely supporting them.
They're supporting them in the sense where like they're playing series with them.
If we can have an Asia Cup, why can't the UK have their own cup, a tri series thing?
That's a them problem. And also,
no, what I'm trying to say is that it's a growing issue, right? We're talking about
it's more lucrative for India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, Bangladesh to play together versus Ireland and England. Who wants to see Ireland or Scotland play England?
I have a soft spot for the Irish team, bro. They're good.
They're not good.
Ever since 2007 when they beat Pakistan, I've been a fan. And then whenever they beat England, it's fun. It's fun to see them.
This is the other problem with giving. We're kind of drifting off topic.
No, but I want to talk about this.
Let's say hypothetically, we give test statuses to the USA, to Canada, to PNG, to Namibia. The problem with that is if USA will play a game against India and India will finish the match in 2 days.
Yeah.
Cricket makes money off of broadcasting rights, right?
Yeah.
If the game is not lasting for 4 to 5 days, and if it's finishing in 2 days instead, the broadcaster is losing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars for the game not being broadcasted. So
Got it.
If there's not quality cricket being played between England, Australia, or the top 8 teams, there's a huge financial loss to that. So we can't just give out test statuses to every other team, right? Ireland, Scotland, your argument, they don't have the infrastructure to get good players out. They don't have the money or the sponsorship or the viewership.
Here's my counter argument. Ready? Where did Ian Morgan play before England?
They played in Ireland, but they didn't get the opportunity to play.
So you're saying that he was an Irish player. He played in the Irish team, and then when he comes to the English team, becomes the first English captain to win the Cricket World Cup.
Yeah, because England,
there's something going on.
Because England has money, they have the infrastructure, they have the opportunities, they have the sponsorships. Most of the players in Ireland, they have day jobs. They work 9 to 5. They have, stuff they do to earn money. And cricket is like their side thing. They're pretty good at it. That's why they do it. But that's kind of what happens. A World Cup comes around, they scatter some players, they put together a team, they put it in. If they win, they win. If they're not, they go back to their 9 to 5s. So
that's tough. That's what I'm saying. So the whole point, this whole segue was saying that teams like Ireland, PNG, USA, Canada can then compete in a tournament like the T20 World Cup. Correct? Because it's a shorter format. It's less skill on display to be tested upon. I guess that's what I'm saying. 5 days versus 20 overs, right? An hour and a half. What the red herring is that I don't mind the rise of T20 cricket, but I do mind the demise I'm basically saying it's in sacrifice of ODI cricket, T20 cricket is growing. That's what we're saying, right?
Right.
Which is the red flag here?
It's the other red flag is that with T20 cricket growing and T20 franchise leagues growing, international cricket as a whole is at risk, right? If I just name you the international leagues that are happening right now in the world, Australia has Big Bash, India has the IPL, Pakistan has the PSL, England has the T20 Blast, Bangladesh has the BPL, the West Indies have the CPL, Sri Lanka has the Lankan Premier League. England has they also have the 100. UAE has the T10 League, and South Africa just announced their league, which is going to happen in the January timeframe. That's 10 leagues happening right now, with more to be introduced. Right? I just heard in the news last couple of weeks ago that UAE is launching their own Emirates League, and
you forgot GT20.
That's just not happening anymore.
Okay, but it was a good.
It used to happen. League. Okay, so Canada had the GT20. Okay.
Yeah.
So the UAE is going to launch a league, which is going to be the second highest paying league in the world after the IPL. They're going to pay the most premium icon platinum player close to $500,000.
Yeah.
The PSL plays.
LeBron James is laughing in money.
The PSL pays the highest, most icon platinum great player $200,000.
Yeah.
That's like more than double the amount, and you make that in about 4 to 5 weeks, right? So if you're a top player, you're gonna be like, why do I need to go and play for England or Pakistan? Get paid like 2 or 3 grand for match fees, maybe a contract, maybe an endorsement, where I can instead go play this league, go play that league, make tons more money. I'm gonna name a Pakistani player who is doing exactly this right now.
Oh no.
And his name is Mohammad Amir. He kind of used the Pakistan cricket team platform to play a few games.
Kind of? Say it with the chest.
He performed, and after the World Cup, he got dropped. He was in and out of the team, and then he retired. And now he's playing county cricket. He's playing the CPL. He's playing the BPL. He's playing the PSL, the T10 League, the 100. He is basically a Pakistani T20 globetrotter, and he's making bank, right?
He's doing what Sohail Tanvir is doing, but at the middle of his career.
So Amir is doing that at the expense of not playing for Pakistan, right? I want to say that we don't really need Amir anymore because Shaheen is, I think he's replaced him.
In some ways, he's better.
But my point being is that what Amir is doing right now is what we're going to see future players do in the future. They're going to retire from this format, that format, and just play more T20 leagues. And that's, I mean, it's understandable because, as a professional athlete, you have, I think, about 10 to 12 years of your life of peak energy, performance,
Fair.
fitness to make as much money as you can.
Okay, but my counter argument becomes, okay, Brian Lara had no leagues to play in, right? Sachin played in the IPL, I think, for a bit, but for the most part, their legacies are stemmed and in stone forever. Like that's never gonna change. What Lara, what Sachin did, what Shoaib did, what Inzi did, like what all of these great Imran Khan, I'm thinking of like Graham Gooch, all of these amazing players in the 90s and 2000s.
You know what? One thing common is between all of them?
What?
They're all Test cricketing legends. They all have thousands of runs in Test match cricket. They all have multiple international centuries.
But their legacy is going to remain as one of the best to ever do it. So what is Mohammad Amir's legacy going to be? A few spells?
I don't think there's...
2017 CT final, okay, fair. But how many more finals could he have done, like gotten us through? Like, I'm just thinking about that, right? What the expense, the loss is more for cricket in the sense because league cricket means nothing. I don't know who the last PSL winner was. I don't care because it means nothing.
I think that's up to you. If you ask somebody from India, they watch IPL games religiously. IPL has just added 2 more teams to the league. It is the second highest, like most grossing television, sports event after the NBA. I'm talking about.
I want people to like fact check that.
I'm talking about I'm talking about the television rights, right? For the IPL, they're in the billions of dollars.
I don't care. It doesn't mean anything.
Financially, it does.
It does.
Listen to me. When the IPL is going on, right, for the 7 to 8 week period, there is absolutely zero to no international cricket happening. The whole window is blocked just for the IPL, just so the top players can play in that league.
That's just the BCCI bullying everyone. If you're being honest, that's no feat of the IPL. All right, the IPL itself means absolutely nothing because it has no consequence. How does the landscape of international cricket change if RCB wins? Who does that make? You're playing IPL without including the number 1 T20 team in the world. It's freaking bullshit. I'm gonna drop an F-bomb right now, but it's freaking bullshit because it doesn't mean anything like that. If it's a seclusion, it's segregation to the max. Like that's my whole point of the IPL. If you are actually the world's best T20 league, include the world's best T20 team in it. That's my number 1 point. Sorry. Yeah. I'm on a rant right now. Number 2, the IPL means nothing because if tomorrow Virat Kohli wakes up, hits a century in the IPL, it means nothing. He still does not have an international century in 3.5 years or 2.5 years. It means nothing.
But just to Virat
except for capitalism and money. That's it.
Your Virat Kohli point is basically Virat Kohli not being able to win an IPL is part of his legacy, right? Secondly, the example.
Okay.
Sorry, no, wait, hold on. The example you gave of like what happens if RCB wins an IPL, like how does that affect international cricket? That's the equivalent to saying what happened. Like, how does Man U winning the Premier League affect football internationally?
Okay, but listen, Manchester
It's the
United.
same example, right?
No, it's not, because Manchester United is a club that was formed in 1886 or something. To fact check me. It's a 150-year-old club.
How does it?
The
How,
FIFA Federation started in like the mid 1900s.
how does Man U's history have anything to contribute?
Because it's a prestigious club. That's where football started. Football didn't start in like club football is how football started, and then the FIFA came later. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
In cricket, it's the opposite. International cricket's the Marylebone Cricket Club or whatever you want to call it, but it led to the English cricket team, which then played Australia. That was the first match. Right?
Yeah.
That's where cricket started. So international cricket is rooted in international cricket, while football is rooted in the club football. Basketball is rooted in the club, like city basketball. That there's different histories for different sports. That's my point.
But my point is that the future of cricket is going to be with that same Premier League model, right? There's going to be leagues in the world, right? Players will only get together internationally for their own home teams for a T20 World Cup, a Champions Trophy, a 50-year World Cup, if that's even still around.
That's what you're seeing the future of cricket.
That's what I'm seeing the future
If that's
of cricket.
what the future of cricket becomes, I am sorry. That is absolutely trash.
You're still going to tune in to watch Karachi versus Lahore play.
I don't care. Bro, that's my whole point has become this, that if Babar Azam never wins if Babar Azam never wins a PSL,
Mhm.
but wins a T20 World Cup and an ODI World Cup, and Virat Kohli wins the next 4 IPLs, what is a greater achievement?
You have a point. I get what you're saying, but that's just where we're headed. I'm telling you where we're
What
headed.
other cameras do I look at? Like, that's the point I'm making. Virat Kohli wins the next 4 IPLs as captain. Babar wins the next T20 World Cup and the ODI World Cup next year. What is a greater feat?
So, I mean, looking back at somebody
whose legacy will be cemented more into this?
Looking back at MS Dhoni's career, he has won the Champions Trophy, 50-year World Cup, T20 World Cup, and he's also won multiple IPLs.
Mm-hmm.
That is part of his legacy. When people talk about MS Dhoni's captaincy, they talk about all of his IPL wins, all of the times that Chennai qualified for the finals, which is, I think, 6 or 7 times in a row. The reason why Rohit Sharma is now Indian captain is because he won multiple IPLs. So one or the other is having an impact on. There's a consequence to one.
I agree. I do understand that one sees the other and the other sees the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Like, they're looking at each other and they're talking and they're compatible. What I'm saying is that one has more. One affects legacy way more than the other. Okay.
Sure.
And the only IPL that I religiously saw was the first IPL from 2007, because that's arguably the best one. I mean, then Sohail Zameen coming out as like the star bowler, nobody had that in their bingo card for 2007. Yeah. But apart from that, all the other IPLs, just especially with the spot fixing and the match fixing allegations, it's just reality TV. At this point, it's bright, it's shiny, it's polished. It's like a Marvel movie, and you know what I want more of? I want more of everything everywhere all at once. I want more of the smaller movies. I want more of the nopes, even if they suck. That's what I need. I don't need a big amusement park for my cricket.
I didn't want to talk about this, but
go ahead. No. We're going all in.
A lot of these T20 leagues, these T20 tournaments are scripted. There is a lot of spot fixing, match fixing happening openly, and it's happening more excessively. Not that there's so many matches.
Yeah.
There's whole gangs, mafias, bookkeepers.
What was a good movie about
bookies.
this?
Well, there's a whole
TV show.
There's a whole TV show. It's called Inside Edge on Amazon Prime.
Boom. Inside Edge, sponsor us.
But and it's actually
exactly what it was.
Inspired by true events that happened in the IPL. So I'm not just targeting the IPL, but even in the PSL, we had Sharjit Khan, we had Mohammad Irfan, Khalid Latif, Nasir Jamshed. They were all involved. These are only players that have been caught. There was Lou Vincent from New Zealand who came out and he confessed that he spot fixed matches. So it used to happen first internationally, but now it's been restricted to leagues, right?
And it's harder to regulate the smaller
Exactly.
leagues like the
Like
Caribbean Premier League. And like
ICC doesn't have that many eyes to keep an eye on every single league
ICC doesn't have
happening.
the balls. Let's be honest.
Well, they did when Muhammad Amr and Muhammad Asif were caught and Salman Butt, right?
Yeah, well,
So that was the ICC, but it was also
ECB.
ECB and their laws in England. But my point being is, I'm kind of I'm a skeptic. I'm a conspiracy theorist when it comes to spot fixing and match
You are.
fixing in
It
cricket.
gets annoying.
When I'm watching a cricket match, that's a league match, I'm looking at guys who are scoring 10 off 20 balls and getting stumped or getting run out in a very stupid way. I'm looking at guys who are bowling no balls or bowling wides at the first ball of their over, or someone who's bowling a beamer, or
Something unusual.
something unusual, right? So
Why?
no, more often than not, you do see, like, even if you look at the scorecard, like some guys like making 10 out of 24 balls and he's getting stumped off like a very wide delivery, not even trying to get back into the crease, or someone's getting run out.
Lots of Kamran Akmal bloopers come to mind where, like, especially the one in Australia
Yeah.
or against Australia where the run out I'm talking about, right?
He
Who threw that?
He didn't even hit.
Who threw that?
I think it was Imran Farhad who threw the ball.
Farhad throws the ball. Kamran Akmal collects it, doesn't hit the stumps.
But Kamran, but the thing with him is that
He's a dumbass. So he definitely
he
could have.
really is one of the most terrible keepers to have ever played the sport.
Yes.
And so he can back that up with saying, well, I'm just pretty bad. You know,
Yeah.
I can't take catches. I can't do stumps. So
Okay, here's a minor conspiracy theory if we're gonna go into that territory. 2011, Pakistan versus New Zealand, where he
Fixed.
dropped the catch.
no. I'm talking. Oh, so I thought you were gonna say the World Cup.
No.
semifinal.
We know that
Okay.
for a fact.
Okay.
The semifinal in 2011 fixed to the dot
On a government level.
on like a political government level. So like we're not
Definitely.
even gonna talk about that. But what I wanted to talk about was Shoaib Akhtar versus Ross Taylor, edged. Akmal drops it. Is that I'm a bad keeper move, or is that a
you
pockets
know,
are full?
the first one maybe I can understand. The second one, he didn't even try for it. So, it looks like something was fishy. But you know,
That's a really good episode to do on what if.
I know something else that I noticed. So when India plays big teams like Australia or England, I look at all the top players playing from the other teams who have massive IPL contracts. I'm talking about David Warner, Steve Smith, Glenn Maxwell, and when I see
All the Australian.
when I see them underperforming, I'm like, you know what, man, do your thing. I get it. You can't cut the hand that feeds you, right?
Really?
Yeah, really.
So here's another question, right? Because we're on this topic. Babar and Rizwan have IPL contracts. You think they're beating Pakistan's beating India by 10 wickets?
I think it'd be tough.
Or like they'd have to do something.
I don't know if you look at it from like a proper like a match fixing point of view, the odds were against Pakistan. So if India had agreed to underperform that match, and if the players were involved, they made a butt ton of money,
Yeah.
right? So because everyone's betting money on India, Pakistan won, the whole opposite stuff happened. So I don't know. It's a very like gray area. If you're like a cricket fan, don't look too much into this because then
It
when you're
spoils
not-
the game for you.
it spoils the game for you. Then you're like, it's just it's kind of like watching WWE.
Yeah.
Once you find out it's all scripted and it's all fake, everyone's acting.
And Logan Paul is now a wrestler.
Yeah.
It pisses you off.
It just you're like, okay, whatever, man.
But like, you know what? This is the mindset of like how the toxicity of this thought process seeps in. I was watching like some of the NBA games and like one of the most famous or infamous LeBron James memes is when I'm forgetting his player's name who takes the ball and doesn't shoot.
Smith.
Yeah, J.R. Smith.
J.R.
Sorry, good catch on that. J.R. Smith takes the ball, doesn't shoot, and he's like, LeBron is like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And in that moment, I'm like, if my cricketing conspiracy hat goes on, and I'm like, did he just fake? Like, is that a thing that he just did? And obviously it wasn't. And like he comes out and he explains that was like a mistake that he made. But like that's what starts happening in other games is like when Cristiano Ronaldo misses an open goal, shoots up, skies it. You're like, but then you're like, Ronaldo doesn't need the money. He's one of the richest players ever. J.R. Smith gets paid like $20 million a year. He doesn't, like, what kind of money can you offer? My whole point of this is, do you think ICC local cricket boards will ever be at a place to offer their players enough money so they decline that Premier League contract in India or a Super League contract in Pakistan and be like, no, I'm gonna play international cricket, because the whole conversation is, or and the root of all of this is money.
It's money.
You pay the players $500,000 a year, for example. Why will he go and play at the CPL? Right? He's only going to play the CPL because he gets 150,000 in 6 weeks.
Yep.
Which he gets like 50% of that the whole year from you, and he plays more games.
So I'm looking at it from my own perspective. If I were a Pakistani player, if the PCB is paying me $500K for the year,
$500,000.
yeah,
US.
it's a lot of money. I'm just giving this is a random ballpark figure, right? $500K for the year. And I have to play test matches, I have to play ODIs, I have to play T20s, I have to go to training camps, I have to, keep up with my fitness, field for 5 days in test matches, in the sun, rot my skin. Versus I can play the Big Bash for 100K in 6 weeks. I can play the PSL 200K in 6 weeks. I can play the IPL. If I'm not Pakistani, I can make millions. I can play the T20 Blast. I can play all the possible leagues in the world. And I can make probably triple or 4 times the amount I could make what PCB is paying me for less amount of work. If I'm an all-rounder, I'm bowling 4 overs and batting at number 6 or 7, right? People are forgetting my performances. It's not like they're going in the history books and people are remembering, oh, you flopped that game or you didn't take that catch, But Rahat Ali is going to be dreaded for that one drop catch in the quarterfinal till he lives.
Yeah.
So it's pros and cons. It's also about what you listen to me. It's also about what you value, right? A lot of South African players that are white, they go and play county cricket. They leave South African cricket, they go play county cricket.
Why did you say white?
Well, because the South African team has a thing where they have to play 4 color players.
There's a quota, yeah.
And because of that, a lot of the white players suffer. A small example is 2015 World Cup semifinal. They had to bench Kyle Abbott, who was one of their fast bowlers, who was the main bowler the whole World Cup, to play Philander. Philander is more of a test bowler, not an ODI bowler. Philander got smacked the whole ground. And Kyle Abbott's sitting there like, I should have played that game. I missed out one of the biggest games of the decade for, South Africa. So he's like, why should I waste my career being in and out of the team for South Africa, where I can just go play county cricket for Lancashire, have a set
and
contract, make good money, play the 100, play T20 leagues. That's exactly what Raleigh Rousseau did, right? It's exactly what a lot of South African players do. They play a few games, they kind of have a name for themselves, and then they retire. They take it's called the Kolpak deal, and they go play for.
Why is it called the Kolpak deal?
There's something to do with somebody named Kolpak who
I should have figured that.
Yeah. So,
but what I'm struggling with as someone who really thinks a lot about legacy and thinks a lot about what I'm leaving behind for the world, playing a butt ton, like you said, a butt ton of Premier League, like T20 Premier League games, does nothing to your, like, you'll make decent money, but you'll never be Graeme Smith, you'll never be Jacques Callis, you'll never be Sean Pollock, you'll never be John T. Rose. Like, these are players that are cemented in South African history, in the history of cricket, because of how amazing they were, not because of how many Premier League titles they've won. Right? They've never won a World Cup, but that I would still take Graeme Smith. I would always remember Graeme Smith for playing against Australia with a broken thumb. Like, that's cricket. At the end of the day, if you franchise it so much, it turns into a Marvel movie. Like, we're in phase 5, 6 of Marvel right now. I don't even know. And this whole, like, the past 6 Marvel movies have been trash. Past 6 Premier Leagues have been forgettable, at least, right? And what I remember is the 154 for 0 from Pakistan that Pakistan scored. What I remember is the 2019 World Cup final between New Zealand and England. What I remember is Headingley, England versus Australia. Like, that is what will go down into history. That is what will go down into YouTube clips forever and ever and ever. Not what random weirdo fly away catch somebody did in an IPL match. Like I see those clips on YouTube as a consumer and I skip them because it doesn't mean like I would rather watch Asif's spell from 2005 where he took those 3 wickets against India in Karachi than I don't know Lasit Malinga's 4 for 4 in freaking the SLPL or whatever, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Like that means more than that because there's weightage, there's history, there's rivalry there. Karachi versus Lahore, as insane of that, as insane, like as much as those people hate each other, Karachi people versus Lahore people, there's no tension when they're playing in the PSL. Let's be honest right now,
I think there is, man. As a consumer, I feel tension.
bro.
I am answerable to my Lahore friends when I see them the next time. They're like, "Yo, we
It doesn't
beat you,
mean
we beat
anything.
you."
There's no meaning behind it. What are we doing?
Well, if you look at it, there's no meaning behind anything.
No, don't be a
you know?
nihilist right now. It means it does nothing to the greater scheme of things if Karachi beats Lahore or if Lahore beats Karachi. Except for that thick mustached guy gets a smile on his face and Pakistani Twitter has something to talk about.
The more money the more eyeballs on the Karachi versus Lahore game. Remember it's always scheduled on a Saturday or Sunday because it's the most viewed match.
Sure.
The more money is made via broadcasting, via rights, ads.
You
The more
keep
money.
talking
Listen,
corporate.
listen. The more money the PSL makes, the more money
The PCB makes.
makes.
Yeah.
The more money the players get.
Okay.
The better they perform.
Oh.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's all like this plant. The PSL is
It's
a
a
seed.
fake plant. This is the metaphor. This is a fake plant. It doesn't mean anything.
But it
You
looks beautiful. You know, we can touch it, we can feel it. It's just awesome to look at.
Oh,
For
man.
viewership purposes, it's amazing.
It is. It's beautiful.
It's
Thank
so
you,
green.
IKEA. Thank you very much. Everything that you're seeing, guys, right now is IKEA sponsored. Okay. Let's wrap this up.
What's the future like? How can we save this format? It's
Yeah.
clearly dying. Like 5 years ago, a full flash series would be like 3 tests, 5 ODIs, 3 T20s.
I like that. I think that's like a full meal.
Now it's like 2 tests, 3 ODIs, 7 T20s. Or
I was
5
just going to talk
T20s.
to you about this. Pakistan is about to play 7 T20s against England and Pakistan.
Yep.
At the same time, they're having a tri-series in New Zealand against Bangladesh and England, I think.
And before that, they're having the Asia Cup, also in T20 format.
And also, they're going to go play Netherlands for some reason. Chill.
It's an influx of cricket. There's so much cricket happening. I don't even know how to follow all this stuff. And I have a cricket podcast.
That's true.
I
Oh my
personally feel like the big 3 need to do something. The ICC needs to step in.
ICC has
They
no
need to
balls.
save
The
this
balls of
format.
ICC are in the court of India. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Well, then India has to do something. 'cause
Bro, India, do
a
something.
lot of Virat Kohli's legacy is based off of his ODI performances. If those games are decreasing, there's not going to be as much of a sample size that we have to compare the greatness of Sachin to Kohli to Babar to any future
And this is the
players.
thing that other sports are also facing. Like when people talk about the great Bill Russell just passed, one of the biggest,
RIP.
one of the best NBA players, the most impactful NBA players of all time. He has, you know how many rings he has? He has
11?
11 rings.
That's more than fingers that I have.
Exactly. He's won the most NBA championships of all time.
Need to put one on my toe.
You could put all of yours on your toe. And the argument that people make as is if he's a GOAT or not is different era. And that's another conversation that happens with a lot with Don Bradman, but the test average of 99 is like different era. Okay, but what happens in 30 years when Sachin's 100 are considered different eras? When if all you're playing is T20s, when is the next time you're going to see a player even try to attain that kind of excellence?
That's
You know,
true. That's true.
Murli's 800 wickets, never going to happen again. Wasim's 500 wickets, never going to happen again. You know, like Shane Warne 600. Like these are players who have passed, but their legacy remains. Nobody cares how many IPLs Shane Warne has won. He's won 3 World Cups. Do you know what I mean? So
Yep.
ODI cricket cannot die. It must not die. It cannot be It cannot be reduced to just World Cups every 4 years, which is another conversation I want to have. The World Cup should not be every 4 years, but that's not what ODI cricket is, right? A T20 match versus India Pakistan is fun, but an ODI match versus India Pakistan is where it's at.
What would you rather watch though? Would you spend 8 hours of your day
Yes.
watching India versus Pakistan?
Yes.
You would sit in front of a TV for 8 hours.
Yes. And I would eat Smart Foods cheddar popcorn
Come on,
off
man.
my.
Like what's easier? Like 3.5 hours,
Nah.
game's done, high electricity,
No.
boundaries, fours,
I know what you're doing, but no.
cheerleaders.
India Pakistan 8 hours. Give it to me all day. Give me a five match series. Give me test matches. That's what I want. All right. I don't want this cookie cutter garbage. This sacrificing cricket for monetary gains. Like, I know I'm sounding like a real hippie right now, and whenever this goes out, and maybe if someone listens to this in 10, 15 years from now, and they're like, bro, that guy is super duper passionate, but he's so wrong.
I think in 10, 15 years, people are going to listen to this podcast and be like, they were way ahead of their time. ODI cricket is dead now. Whatever happened to that format?
Yeah.
It's all about T10 and the 100 and T20 cricket. So,
And if you are listening to this in 10 years in the future, tell me, did Virat ever score that century?
Did it ever happen?
Did it ever happen?
Did the 71st century happen?
70 is a good way to like never have a
Will
century
we
again.
live to see another Virat Kohli 100? That's another podcast.
That's a whole other podcast, and I feel like that's harsh. I mean,
Deep
I will
down,
never
I'm a
have.
fan. I'm a fan.
I will never respect Rohit Sharma, but I will respect Virat Kohli. Why'd you make that face?
Because Rohit Sharma is a great player.
I can never respect.
Why
him.
not?
I just don't know. I've seen him. We've gotten him out too many times in the same way for me to have any kind of respect for him.
Okay, he has thousands of international runs.
I don't give a shit, Rohit Sharma.
And many World
I
Cup
don't care
hundreds
about
and-
you, but Virat Kohli I care about. I also like his wife a lot. Maybe that's why.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm gonna end on that note.
Hashtag Vershko.
I'm gonna end on that note. Please save ODI cricket, guys. Please watch ODI cricket. Please tune into it. Write to your local MPAs that you want to see ODI cricket come back. Talk to your local cricket clubs. We cannot have a great format like One Day International to die like that.
Yep, absolutely. Looking back, I mean, there's some iconic moments. The 92 World Cup, those two balls from Wasim Akram, the last World Cup final, one of the greatest ODIs of all time.
One of the greatest matches, like one of the greatest sporting competitions that I've seen in a very, very long time. So 2019 was a good year for sporting competitions. Kawhi's shot. At the same time, we got
The test match of
the Ben
Henry.
Stokes. Yeah, Ben Stokes year. It was a good year for
Yeah.
sports, if I'm being honest.
Yep. Anyways, let us know what you guys think is
Yeah.
wrong with the format, how the big three can save it.
Also, let us know if we're like crying wolf here. Like, we could totally be off and ODI cricket would be totally fine. But as it stands now, we're apprehensive. We're really paranoid about this, and we really want something to happen that sort of cements the fact that ODI cricket isn't going to go away. Because I don't want to see a series where there's one T20, two ODIs, and like 9 different like one Test match, two ODIs, and 9 different T20s. Like, that's not the cricket that I subscribe to.
Yep. So you were listening to the Backward Point edition of the Vaguely Familiar podcast.
Correct.
I am your host, Bashaar, and with me is
Nazar, and thank you for tuning in, guys. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Please have a conversation in the comment section below if you're listening to this on YouTube. We would definitely want to know what you guys are thinking about when it comes to these thoughts. And if you are one of the great cricketer podcasters, then reach out because we want to do a collab.
let's do it.
I think they're cool, right?
Yeah.
I think they're nice.
I want to do collab with the Tailenders.
They're-
The
I would
Jimmy
love that.
Anderson
I would love
podcast.
that. I would love that.
It's my favorite ever.
Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in. Cheers. See you guys on the other side. Take care.
Bye.